and sign in, sign up, and that's it. Okay, when you're gonna click on to here, so it will give you the one form for the sign up. So first of all, it will take a username, and the username should not be there. So test one is a new username I have taken. After that, it will take the whole details from you, AD and the username, password, balance, email ID, and the username successfully created. So that's how you're gonna create your assignment, guys. You will get this PDF into the Slack workspace later. So let me wrap up this PDF, and now let's move forward to our programs. So the first of all, I'm gonna open my workspace where we have stored our programs. Okay, I have already explained this assignment in the previous session, guys. If you want to look at the session number 11, right? 11, yep. So you will get a huge brief of the assignment, okay, at session number 11. So here, let me go to the workspace, batches, and skill center. Oh, there's a few questions. So is there any GitHub account? Yeah, actually you can simply upload your assignment on top of your GitHub account. Okay, just you have to share the link of your GitHub account into the Google form, and you will get the form late. You will get the form link from the skill center workspace, right? So here I'm gonna launch a Jupyter notebook, guys, or either we can simply use a normal Visual Studio Code to understand all the things. Okay, it's your choice. What are you gonna use here? So the point is, let's suppose I'm gonna use a Visual Studio Code in today's session. So let me open a Visual Code inside the current directory. That's cool. Okay. So first of all, we will go for the recursion. Okay, what is actually a recursion function is? Okay, how a recursion function will work. Because in the previous session we have learned about the function and many type of function argument. Okay, the first of all we have learned about the positional argument, default argument, and the keyword argument, and the arbitrary argument as well, right? So first of all, I'm going to launch the Jupyter notebook as well to understand that, because I have already created a one notebook. So I'm going to open both of them, just not worry about this. Okay, it will take a while. Once the notebook is open, so I'm going to show you the whole functionalities of this. It's take more time as usual. Okay, the notebook has been open, so let me show you. Oops, this is not detach. No, this is good. So this is a notebook, and now let me open the previous notebook what I have created in last session. That will be the Python function arguments. Or instead of argument, there might be the Python function. Let me open both of them and just look into the notebook. So we have discussed until the, okay, this is a normal Python definitions, and we have already learned of this. So in argument, we will discuss about the more functionality. Okay, and now this is a topic, guys, Python recursion. Okay, and now when you will actually discuss about the time complexity and the space complexity. Okay, but we will use recursion time, we will use also recursion sometime in our programs to understand and to solve the logical problem as well. Okay, but the point, if you will discuss about the time complexity of the Python recursion, okay, that will be a very huge, because each and every time it will take a your element, okay, and it will recurse that particular function again and again until the condition will not true. The point is, let's suppose what is actually a recursion is. So recursion is a process of defining something in terms of itself. Okay, and what does it mean? So just to understand the recursion, just I'm going to create a one function here. So I have create a hello function, right? This is a very basic thing what I have done. So if I'm going to call or hi all, so that's a very basic function I have created. If I want to execute my function, just I can simply execute it one time using the hello. Oh, just I have to use a set of parentheses and you will get the output. But what happened? Because when I'm going to execute my function, the first statement will be execute. This is your first statement you have written inside your function. But the second statement, what happened if I'm going to call a function itself inside the function? So what does it mean? If I'm going to execute the first shell right now, what I have selected, okay, so it will not give you anything, because you are trying to calling your function inside the function, because when you will call the main function, then it will be recurs again and again. Okay, your program will not be terminate. This is an infinite loop you have created here, because when you will call your function, first statement will be execute, okay, from here, because when you will call this function here, so when the second statement will execute, so you are trying to calling the function itself. So what does it mean? It will trying to call the function again, the same thing again, it will execute the high old one more time and again the function calling. So that's how you can simply create a one infinite loop. And in case of Python, actually, Python management will give you the specific limit to use a recursion. Okay. If your recursion will go at infinity level, so your recursion will be stopped at a 1000 time by default. Either you can simply change the values of the recursion default. Okay. Because the Python management have set a one default recursion limit. Okay. In case of Jupyter, you will get a different limit. In case of Visual Studio Code, because in case of Jupyter, I have used a different Python, right? So just now what I'm going to do, let me clear the notations first of all. Okay. After that, I'm going to show you all these things, what I'm discussing about. So when I will call this function right now from here, so it will execute at a multiple time. So just look at this. I have called my hello function and you will get the output hi all, hi all, hi all again. And how many times you will get this output? Just look at this. Around you will get this particular output 1000 times, because this is a one recursion error and the maximum recursion depth exceed while calling a function object. Okay. In case of Python management, they are giving you the feature to stop your recursion. If you will not stop your recursion, okay, your memory will be consumed in a very huge amount. So that's why this is a one default limit. Okay. But the point is, sometime when you're gonna use a recursion in your program, okay, in actual program you have to set some sort of parameters. Okay, according to the condition you're gonna call your recursion function. Okay, once you have satisfied your condition, just you can simply stop your recursion function there. I'm gonna show you the live example as well. Just before that, what's the limit of the recursion? If you want to know the limit of the recursion, just for that, just you can simply understand this feature. So what I'm gonna do, just I'm gonna import a one function from the module name sys. Okay, a module is nothing that will be another inbuilt Python file which is stored inside the Python libraries. Okay, we will learn about these from and we will discuss as well. So first of all, I'm going to import this particular sys, and sys is a one more Python inbuilt file which is stored inside the Python libraries. So just I'm going to use the one function. Okay, this is a one function I am trying to use, and just look at this, my bad. Okay, and what's the default limit of the recursion? Because I am using a Jupyter, right? So it will give you the 3000. Otherwise the default limit of the recursion, if you're going to check it out in another ID, you will get a 1000. Let me prove to you as well. So in case of terminal, I'm going to type a Python 3. Okay, now right now I'm inside 3.8.5. Import sys again and just check out the limit of the recursion here. And just look at this. This is actually limit of the recursion. Okay, that was the concept of the Jupyter notebook. But 1000 is a default limit given by the Python. Okay, either you can also change the limit as well actually. Okay, and what's up to change the limit? Just you can simply set using this method. You can simply set to 4000. It's your choice. Okay, done. Check out the limit again. Now it's 4000. So that's why when you will discuss about the Jupyter notebook, the default limit of the recursion is 3000. But in case of actual default, that will be the limit is 1000. What does it mean? So it will call hello function 1000 times, and once the limit is exceed, it will give you the one error, recursion error. Okay, that's how the recursion functions are work. And where we will use a recursion function, you have to try to understand the main concept. So let me show you the one flow chart to understand the recursion function. Okay, so what does it mean? Let's suppose this thing, guys, define recurse. This is a one function I have defined here. Okay, and now this is a body of this function, first line, second line, and third line. One, I'm gonna call the main function, so it will call your main function from here. Okay, and now it will execute the first line. After that, the second line. Inside the second line, you are trying to call the function itself again and again. So that's how your recursion function will be created one loop here. Okay, So your loop will be terminated once you will exceed the limit of the recursion in according to the default limit, whatever you have set in your program. So let me move forward to the next point. Okay, let's take an example to understand the problem of the recursion. What happened? Let's suppose if you want to calculate a 1 factorial, okay, either I'm going to give you one more example, okay, after the factorial as well, to understand the problem of recursion where we're going to use this type of recursion functions. So before that, just I'm going to take a one simple program, okay, and now in this program, just if you have to calculate the factorial of 6, or either sometime you want to calculate the factorial of any terms. So when you are trying to calculate the factorial, let's take an example. If you want to calculate a factorial of 4, okay, but you don't know and what's the method actually, right? So just you have to 4 multiply factorial of 3. So right, this is a way how you would be able to calculate the factorial of 4. But the point is still you don't know the factorial of 3 as well. So to find the factorial of 3, just you can simply multiply 3 by factorial of 2. And if you don't know the factorial of 2 as well, just you can simply follow the same path. And the according, if you're going to check out the factorial of 1, just you can simply multiply by 1, or either just you can simply return a 1 statement here. That's how you're going to check it out, right? So it will be the factorial of 1, and just you can simply do. So if you're going to multiply all these things, so you will get the actual factorial of 4. This is a one simple way to calculate the factorial. So the point is, what I have done, just look at this. So to understand the concept of factorial, just I'm trying to call a factorial of 3, okay? So if I'm gonna call my function, look like this method, factorial 3. So actually inside the function, I have defined some functionalities. I will call my factorial function 3 times, okay? And in which way I'm gonna call my factorial function 3 times? So first of all, when I will call my factorial function, I will pass 3 inside it, okay? And according to the function, inside the function, I have called my factorial function again and again and again, okay? It will give you the multiplication, and at the end you will get the factorial of 3 here, okay? And how this function will work, so this is a one way to understand. Let me open the program what I have written. So this is a one basic program I have written, guys, okay? So if you're gonna just remove the recursion function documentation, that was actually normal documentation. So I have defined a 1 factorial, right, function. Inside the function, I'm trying to pass a 1 argument. And when you are trying to call your factorial main function, just to have passed the value of num there. Let's take an example. You have passed num3, okay? Because you are trying to pass the value of actual num is 3, right? So when you will pass 3 inside the factorial, just take in a dry run of your program. So now check it out, the this condition. This condition is true or not. But right now this condition is false. So it will go into the else part. Inside the else, it will try to return a one statement. What statement? So it will try to return x multiply. Okay, just what's the value of the x if you're going to calculate here. So let me show you the value of x right now, 3. Okay, it will try to multiply the factorial, the same program, the same function what you have defined here, okay? But this time you are trying to minus 1, 3 minus 2. So what does it mean? You are passing the values 2. So that's how you're going to calculate your factorial of 3. But if you don't know the factorial of 2 as well, just now you are trying to calling your function again. So it will call the function again from here. And now this time you have passed the values 2. This condition is still false, okay? Come inside the else body again. And now this time the value of the x is 2 and multiply by factorial. And now this time you are trying to pass value is 1. Okay, that's how it works. This time you are trying to pass value is 1. Once the value is 1, so this condition will be true. This time it will give you the return 1 instead of calling function again. That's how you're going to multiply all these statements and you will get your result. Okay, so I'm going to execute my program and just look at this. The factorial of 3 is 6. And to understand, that's how it works. Okay, this is a one more functionality I have written here. If you're going to calculate the factorial 3, so first of all, just you are passing your values here. One, you are to pass your value, condition false. The second thing, it will call your function again, okay? And when you get the value from the return statement, you're going to multiply that particular value along with the n. that particular thing will be execute later, right? So when you are trying to pass 2 here, so it will execute your function again, and again it call the 1 here. So that's how this works. Okay, and now again you have typed the 1 here, and now this time it will return the 1 statement. Whatever you're going to multiply here, so 1 is returned. Now this time it will multiply 2 into 1, you will get the 2 here. Now this time it will return the 2 here, and the 3 was there, 2 into 3 you will get the 6. So that's how you will get the factorial of your statements. Okay, so these are the example to understand the factorial. Okay, and now this is one I have taken an example when you are trying to call a factorial, so it will give you the one recursion error. Okay, because I have already set a one limit to execute my factorial. Okay, now it will not give you the recursion error. So that's how. And what are the advantage of the recursion? What are the disadvantage of the recursion? So recursion functions make the code look clean and elegant. Okay, using the recursion, just you can solve your problem into a small code, but it will take more time, right? A complex task can be broken down into simpler sub-problem using the recursion as well. You can simply generate a sequence generation in easier with recursion using the some nested iteration as well. But there's a recursion function are hard to debug as well. Recursion calls are expensive, inefficient, or they take a lot of memory and time. Because whenever you're gonna execute function again and again, so each and every function have their scope, right? Okay, their particular memory. So that's why it will take a huge memory of yours when you're gonna use a recursion function in your programs. Okay, so to understand the recursion, the function will try to call function itself again and again using this method. So let me explain. I'm going to take a one moment for that. So what happens? So when I'm going to call my function, and I can simply pass any value here. Okay, so when you will pass any value, actually I'm going to use a undo, that's cool. Okay, just to understand the example, when you will call your function, right? So I can simply pass any value. So what I have done, just I have passed 3 inside my statement. Okay, when I have passed 3 here, so now this particular 3 will be initialized into the x. Now the first of all, the value of the x is 3. Now just execute the next line inside the function. This particular condition will be false. The first time the condition will be false. Once the condition is false, so it will execute the else part. Inside the else part, this particular line will be execute, and here what you are trying to do, just you are trying to multiply. Okay, so what's the value of x right now? So if you're going to calculate the value of x is 3, that you are trying to multiply along with the factorial of 2, because you don't know the factorial of 2 right now as well. So you are trying to call the factorial function again. Okay, and when you're gonna try to call a factorial function again, so it will call look like this, just what I have done here. If you don't know the factorial of 4, just you can multiply the 4 along with factorial of 3. If you don't know the factorial of 3, just you can multiply 3 along factorial of 2. That's what I have done here. So when I'm trying to call my same function again, but I have passed a different value. And how the 2 is passed, just I have used x minus 1. If you're gonna solve this particular arithmetic expression, it will give you the 2 this time, right? So that's how it works. Now the next value of the x will be 2, and now the value of the x is 2, just this condition is still false, because x, the 2 is not equivalent to the 1. Now again it will execute this particular statement. Inside this statement, now the value of the x is 2 right now, and it will try to call the function again. Okay, and the value this time it will pass 1, because 2 minus 1 is 1. When you are trying to call the factorial function again, the value of the x this time is 1. Okay, and here this time the condition will true. Okay, one, you're going to check out this condition because you have store 1 inside the x, and now this condition is true, and now it will return the 1 here. Okay, when it will return the 1 statement instead of calling function again. Okay, so one, it will return the 1 here, so it will do the multiply along with 2, because you are trying to do that. This function will return 1, so it will give you the 2 multiply 1, what you will get. So it look like this, 2 multiply by 1, this is 2, and now this particular function will give you the 2, because the whole statement will give you the 2 here. So you will multiply the 3 multiply 2, So that's the final result you are getting here, 6. Okay, this is a way to calculate the factorial. Either you can simply took any number here, so and you would be able to get the factorial of all these functions. If you're gonna pass the 25 or 5, just 120, or you're gonna pass 7 here, that will be 5040. That's how the factorial program or the algorithms work. So to understand the concept of the factorial, to understand the concept of the function as well. So I'm gonna show the 2 more example to understand the concept of function, okay? And 1 more example to understand the recursion as well. So first of all, let me take in a 1 example, okay, for a normal function. After that, I will take a 1 example to understand the recursion 1 more time. Yeah, sometime we will use a recursion of the industrial scenario as well, guys, okay? Because we will not often use a recursion, but sometime you have to use a recursion as well. So the point, let me save and let me close this notebook, okay? This you can simply took any example. The point is, or the challenge is, let's suppose what happened. So let me create a another program, or either I can simply shut down my notebook as well. I'm going to create a program on top of Visual Studio. So here we need to talk about the recur 2.py. And here I'm going to write my function code. So the first of all, let's suppose I want to define my function, or either which type of function I'm going to define. This is a test1 or whatever you want to use, or sample. Okay, and just will define the properties of the function later. Now the point is, first of all, you have to understand the problem. Okay, what is actually a problem is? The problem is, let's suppose if you have a 1 dictionary, or instead of dictionary, either you can also have a list as well. Okay, so this is a 1 example, right? Now the point is, let's suppose if we have a 1 list or a dictionary, whatever you have, the point, if you have a 1 list, and now this particular is a nested list you have, and I'm gonna create a sample list, don't worry. Okay, so this is a way. So this is example, guys. Okay, hopefully it's understandable. Now the point, just I have created 1 list, or either the point is just to have to fetch all the values from the nested list into a single format. Okay, what the output I'm expecting from my function. So I have to create a 1 modular function, okay, which will understand the each and every type of nested list and fetch all the values from the list, and it will give you the value in a simple way. Just look like this. Okay, so it will give you all the values into a single list to you. So that's how your function should be work. Okay, and so on, whatever values you have print, this is the 1 sample output, right? The point is, if you don't have to create a function, just you can simply say, I can simply fetch all the values using the slicing method, right? But the point is, just you have to create a 1 modular function. What does it mean? Your function should be work along with any type of list as well. Okay, because right now, if you're gonna hard code, if you want to fetch all the elements, just you can simply use this method, right? Just you can simply fetch the data, like the first index. If you want to fetch 2 from here, just you can simply use this method, data. Okay, and from the data, just second and the first. So this time you can also use this method, right? So that's how you will be able to fetch all the elements 1 by 1. But the point, it will take a very huge code. You have to write a multiple slice, okay, equivalent to the number of elements. But the point, only this particular method will only work in this list, will not work in another list as well. But what happens if you have a multiple list? This is a data too. Okay, inside this, I have a starting list. This look like this. Okay, it could be any type of list, right? Okay, and now that's cool. Okay, so comma and the list. It could be look like this as well. So your program should be work perfect in this way. So that's, you have to create a program to understand this concept, 1 comma 2. So if you're going to hard code your program, so you would not be solve this particular list using the same program. That's why I have told you, we have to create a one program to following the modular approach, right? Just you have to pass a list as a argument in your function. Your function should be return a very simple list. Fetch all the element from your list and store into a single list, and it will give you that. So that type of function I have to create using my programs. Okay. So yeah, if you will discuss about the data structure algorithm, just you can simply use a merge sort and all of these things, but we're gonna solve this problem using the recursion here, right? So, and when we will create this particular problem, when we'll create the solution of this problem. So let me comment the extra line what I have passed here. Okay, just give me a moment. So this is a problem, and now let me give you the solution for that. And I have typed the expected output as well. So this is a def, and we have to create a one sample program. Okay, or either you can simply take a solution, and now inside this, just you have to take a list from a user, right? Either you can simply pass a li or whatever you can simply use. So let's suppose I'm gonna pass a one sample. Okay, is a argument I have passed, and now this is the actual whole list whatever a user will pass when a user will call the solution this type in this way, when a user will pass in this method, and when a user will pass the data to as well. So okay, just you have to solve the both the list using your function. Then now try to understand this program, guys. Now the point is, let's suppose when a user will give you the list, right? So data. So first of all, just you have to fetch each and every element from here, okay? And when you are trying to fetch each and every element from the list, okay, what method you gonna use? Let's take an example. Just we have create a one empty list, okay, temp 0. Okay, inside this list, you're gonna store all the values from whatever you're gonna fetch from here, okay? Or either just you can simply create this. And now this time, or either you can also create the temp from outside as well. Okay, that's your choice what you're gonna do there. So I'm gonna create, let's suppose for I in, okay? So I'll for I in, and what I'm trying to do, let's suppose I'm trying to fetch my values or the elements. So let's suppose I'm gonna fetch the first element. Okay, you know very well. So the point is when you will execute this method, so what it will do for you, so it will give you the first element of the sample. Now what will be the first element of the sample? So the first element of the sample will be 10, right? If you're gonna pass this particular list. Okay, just take a dry run to understand the method, guys. Or either we can also use a one simple list to understand the algorithm. After that, we can simply take a huge list as well. Okay, so let me remove, and now this way. So just took an example, we're gonna create our program to understand following this use. Okay, that's cool. So we're gonna solve the third problem first. Using the third, you would be able to solve the whole problem as well. So let's take an example. So when the first time loop will be execute, okay, so what value you will get from here? So the first time when the loop will execute, so 10 will be initialized inside the num, right? Just take an example. And now the first value of the num will be 10. Now this time the type of the num is integer, right? So just we can simply do the one method here. Just we can simply define a one condition as well. If num is, there's a one function, guys, inside the Python is instance. Okay, you can also use this function. Or, and why you are using this function? Let's suppose if the instance type is list here, so just you can simply use this method for that to understand this concept. So let me explain, don't worry. So is instance is a function which will give you the type of any object. So when I'm gonna call this function here, just look at the bottom instance. Okay, so the example is if I'm gonna pass 10 here and pass the integer as a second argument, if both the things will match because the first argument is an integer, so it will give you the true. Let's suppose what happen if I'm gonna pass a str here, so that time it will give you the false because 10 is not a str, this is an integer. If what happen if I'm gonna pass a one string here, so now that time it will also give you the true. That's how the is instances function is work. So what happened? So the point is when I'm gonna use this condition, if is instance, num equivalent to the list. So, but this time condition will be false, right? And now once the condition will be false, whatever what you wanna execute here. Excuse me, guys, just give me a moment. पानी देना. Hello, am I audible, guys? Yeah, I'm back. Okay, that's good. So we were discussing about, oh, got it. So what we are trying to do, so just you have to collect all the values from here and just you have to store all the values into a different list. But the point is what we have done, when the first time you want to execute this condition, okay, this condition will give you the false. Why? Because now if you're going to check out the value inside the num, because this is 10, right? And now when this particular value is equivalent to the integer, but you have type a list here, so it will give you the one boolean value is false. Okay, so this time just what I'm going to do, just you have to execute, or just this time you can simply do the pass, and you have to mention the else condition. First time the condition will false, okay, and now just you have to use the else. Inside the else, just you have to use this particular value because you want the integer value, right? So just what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna insert my value inside the tab. Okay, that's how it works. Now the point, the one the second time will loop value, the function will be execute. Okay, and how the second time will function will be execute. Now the loop will execute, and now it will take a next element. This time is also condition will be false and will append the 100 inside the temp. The third time will also execute. Now this time it will fetch all the list instead of single element, because that was a one single object of the data tree. Now this is a single element of the data tree. Now this time when it will execute, this particular condition will be true. Okay, once this condition is true, okay, so what you have to do, just you have to pass, just you have to call the solution function again in this statement. Okay, because you're gonna pass this particular list as a fresh list inside the sample. You can simply pass the solution and just we can simply pass the num here, because you want to pass this particular value. And when you will pass num inside the sample, so now this time the value of the this particular thing, it look like this. So that's what I'm going to use here, copy and paste. Oops. So here I'm going to paste my values. So that's how it works. Now this time when it will execute the loop again, okay, this is a one mistake what we have done, because when I'm going to pass my function again, so it will create a temp empty again. Just you can simply do, you can simply store your temp before outside the function. That's how works fine. And now when this time it will fetch two from here, because this is a whole list. Okay, and now when this time will also condition false, and now it will store two inside the temp. Again it will call the recursion, and now that's how your function is work, guys. And now this is a way to create, to solve this type of problem. and just I have used a recursion method because I'm trying to call my solution function here, and before I have used a one more condition. The solution function will call again on a which time when the actual num will equivalent to the list only, because just you have to pass that particular list inside the sample again. So what I'm going to do, just I'm going to show at the end of the function what I'm going to do. So just you can simply return a temp here, you can simply return your list. So that's how it works. And now the point is, let's suppose, let me execute my program. Okay, first of all, I'm trying to solve the first problem, print the data 3. That's cool. Okay, so let me save my program and let me execute. And what's the method to execute your program? This is a way, recur2.py. And now I'm my bad, just give me a moment. It's not subscriptable where I have subscript my integer. Okay, perhaps you missed a comma. So where we have missed the comma, guys? Just we have to find, yeah, this is the one comma we have missed. Let me execute program again. That's cool. Okay, that's a one comma we have missed there. And now that's how you can simply short your data 3 in a single list. Okay, that what happened if I want my data 1, just save. Okay, if you want to print the initial state of data 1 as well, just you can simply print co method, print the data. Just look at this, and now that was actual normal data, right? So that's a function. Save and execute again. In the same program, it will give you the one simple list, collect all your elements from the nested list. That's how it works. If you want to print the data to here, and now just you can simply do the following path, data to here, execute your program again, and just look at this 10 20 10 20 10 1 2, and now that's how you would be able to fetch your whole elements from a nested. So this is some method to understand the recursion function, from how you would be able to use a recursion function. Instead of list, it could be a dictionary as well. Okay, so this type of problem you have to understand in which method you're going to solve all these things. Okay, hope you got the idea, guys, how you'd be able to use your functions, right? So now let's take few more examples to understand the function, the functionality of the functions, right? So let's take an example, and we can simply take any program. Okay, and what program I'm gonna show you. So let's suppose, just you have to calculate, yes, just you have to create a one function, and that particular function what it will do for you. So let's suppose if you want to create a one login authenticate program. Okay, so there just you can simply create few functions there. Okay, instead of using normal method, you can also use a function there in your program. And how, which type of method you're gonna use there, so I'm gonna show you. So there's a multiple method actually in each and every program, just to have the function as a functionality of your program. Because just when you create a function, just you can simply import a one function from the one file to another as well. So first of all, I'm going to create my file and func2.py. So now the problem is, let's suppose what I want to do. This is my, I have to create my program. So the first of all, this is a username and the password. Okay, whatever you have. Either you can simply take a username or the password from the user as well. The point is, whenever you are trying to authenticate a user, each and every time, just you have to create a if and else condition, right? In the previous program, we have also used this particular thing multiple times. But the point, instead of define again and again, just you can simply create a one function for login. Okay, and this particular function will give you the true if the username have matched the password. If a username will not match the password, that it will give you the false. So just you can simply take a two different argument from the user, username and the password. And how you would be able to match all those things, just if you have a different database here. Okay, just I'm going to create a one simple example to understand this. Okay, 1001, and inside this I'm going to mention few names, Sachin, and now this is pass, and now the pass is 123. That's how it's worked. Let's create a one different user, and now name of this user I'm gonna mention Prajwal, and now the pass of this user I'm gonna mention 222, or instead of pass I can also mention pin here. It's your choice. The pin should be 4 characters. Just that's cool. Now the point is I have to create a one function to authenticate my users. The challenge is just you have to create a one modular function. Okay, just you have to call your login function and you have to pass your username and the password. Okay, it will give you the true or a false according to the functionalities of your function. The point, just what I'm going to use here. So let's suppose if when a user will call your login function, that particular user will give you the username and password as well. Okay, and in which way? Just a user, you can take an input from a user, enter username, and the same thing, a user will also take a password from the user, enter password or enter pin, and the pin should be integer. Then that's a method you can simply use. After that, a user will call your function and pass the username or password of the either user. Simply save these things inside this method as well. This is a method what I'm going to use. That's cool. And this particular statement will execute once you have successfully defined your function. So that's now you have to define the functionalities of your function. Okay, hope you got the idea. Okay, so just you have to create a one functions to authenticate your users, and multiple time if a user will call a login function, just you have to pass a user and the password. If the user would be able to authenticate, it will give you the true, otherwise false. And what I'm going to use, just one, you will receive a username and the password. This you can simply check out the condition if username in database.keys. Okay, the spelling should be correct. My bad. And just you can also check a different condition into a single statement as well using the logical operator. Either you can use a nested if else. It's your choice. You can simply use any one of them. Okay. So what happened? I'm gonna use a logical operator and I'm gonna mention the password should be equivalent to the for which user from the database, inside the database from a one key, and just from the 102, my bad, instead of this you have to pass a username and you have to pass the pass here. Oh my bad, in the just pin. That's cool. Just the one statement, welcome. You can simply took a one name of the user, or either instead of take a name as well, you can just return the true here. Okay, that's type of functionality you want to use here. Okay, so I have created a one function. Okay, now what it will do for you, one, you're gonna call a login function. Okay, so just you have to pass a user and the password. One, it will, so what I'm gonna do, just I'm gonna pass my username and password, guys. Just look at this. I'm gonna call my function here. Okay, so I have passed my username. So what username I'm gonna pass? Let's suppose 103. Okay, and blah. Just it will not give you anything. Actually, just I have to print my statement as well because my bad. I have to print this statement as well. And now it will give you the true, or else I can simply print the false here as well. Return false. According to the method, I will be able to understand these things. Save, execute the program again. That's how. The username I'm gonna pass 103. Okay. And there's a one more mistake, guys, we have done. Let me show you. Don't worry. It will always be false. Why? Because when you are trying to take input from a user, but you have stored a username inside a integer format, right? But you are trying to match along with a string. So this is a one method. Just you have to take a username in case of integer as well. Okay, either you can store your username in case of a string. This is a two method. Yes, you can simply convert your username, or either you can convert your username. That's how you're gonna check it out. So let me check one more time. 101. Password should be 1234. Okay, so it will give you the true, right? When you're gonna execute the same program, I'm gonna mention 102 and 111. the false because the username is not along with the password. This is a one normal function. I can simply use this function at multiple times. Where let's suppose in a later in your program you have to authenticate, just you don't have to write this code again and again, just you have to type username and type your username and password. So that's how you would be able to authenticate user in your program where you want at multiple times. Okay, so now the time for Q&A. If you have some doubts, guys, just you can simply drop your queries into the chat box and I'm going to show you. Okay, so I will share this program along with you guys, and now you have few queries about the assignment 2. So please check the assignment 2, like what we have to do in that. I will share a one PDF, okay, to understand the assignment 2, and I have also explained in brief the assignment 2 in session number 11 as well. Okay, anything else? So we can use function concept in assignment 2. Actually, you have to create your assignment, okay, without the function, because just I have give you the, just you have to create your assignment without a function. But actually when you're gonna create your assignment without a function, that you will facing some issues as well. So just you can use a function as well in your assignment. Okay, you would get a better approach, right? You can use. Anything else, guys? Okay, so yeah, you have to use dictionary. Actually, there's no another method what I have to use, because if you're gonna use a list, your assignment will be more complex. That's why you have to use dictionary instead of databases there. I will share the notebook and the program and the PDF as well in Slack workspace. Or either I will also upload on top of GitHub. Just you can simply browse this link to understand. So this is a username and you will find out the, so let me show you. Okay, you will find out the document from both of them. And now this is, I have typed into the chat box. You can simply look at the masses. Okay. Can we use recursion in the assignment? Yeah, you can use, actually you can use any approach, whatever whatever you can simply understand. Okay, this is the assignment. You can simply use any approach to solve your problems. It's depend on you which approach you're gonna use there. Okay. So guys, so let's wrap up this session. If you don't have any doubts. So let me wrap up this session, guys, for today. Okay, and now you have already take your doubts. Okay, this is a one query for Reshma for you. If you will know dictionary, okay, what you think to use? Because I have already mentioned, just you don't have to use database, right? If you're gonna follow the list approach, yeah, you can use, but you're gonna following, you will face a multiple complexes when you're gonna use the list there. So that's why you can use, but I don't recommend to use a list in case of your database. So let me wrap up this session, guys, finally, and now see you next session. Bye.